Welcome to segment 2, Gold and Black Live, joined by Tom Mitchell and Peyton Stovall. Tom, Senior Associate Athletic Director, Director of Compliance. Peyton Stovall, a Lafayette area legend. Also is Tom Mitchell, but Peyton's in a different way. But Peyton, obviously, Associate AD, Student Athlete Development at Purdue. There's nothing going on in your shop these days, guys. It's just you guys just come in and you play checkers all day, because things like name, image, and likeness, which we'll hit and talk about. And I need to get to it because there's no way you can do it a whole lot of justice in one segment. But I want to also, Peyton, you were obviously on the trip last night, a tough night for the Boilermakers. You've been around, played college basketball at a high level. And Tom, you're certainly an observer and know a lot about this basketball team. I think I know the answer before I ask it, but this is a team that will bounce back. But it was also a lesson last night.
Oh yeah, definitely. My career got popped several times. The good thing about this team is, as they come out of the locker room, the togetherness, it's there, and that's what as you take lumps, win or lose. The togetherness, that camaraderie in the locker room is what is important to get get through these moments and on to the next. And so I have complete confidence that Peyton, his crew, his coaching staff will have them prepared on Sunday and know that Maryland's going to be coming at them just like Michigan came at them.
Yeah.
And they're going to be prepared to take as much as they possibly can to get a W. So the good thing about it is you got another opportunity. And then the other thing about it is, you get to win a national title, you got to win 6 in a row. Peyton said that last night. And you got to win 6 in a row. And we've done that before. We can do it again. And we're just going to continue to prepare for tourney time. So these are good things to learn early instead of in the tournament.
Yeah, Tom, you watch Team Dynamics and these guys too, obviously work around many of them. Stuff happens, so to speak, but it's also the lessons learned that you hope you take forward and not only Sunday, but for the rest of this basketball season.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Peyton hit on all the touch points. I don't know if there's anything else I need to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing that's interesting though is that the amount of faith and confidence that everyone around here has, in Coach Painter and his staff. Everyone associated that works with the program and the student athletes is just off the charts. And so I'm just excited to see what happens. I'm very excited to see how they bounce back, because I know they will, and just the rest of the season.
Yeah, going to be an interesting story to watch. All right, name, image, and likeness. Everybody that's associated with college sports knows the NIL term. They don't always know what it means. Tom, I'm going to start with you just to talk about if somebody didn't know what it meant, what does it mean, and this as opposed to some of the challenges that it brings in this world of college athletics.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing to keep in mind is, we've been trying to push for this for years, filing waivers, we got a lot of entrepreneur spirit here at Purdue. So we've had a lot of student athletes that have tried to push those envelopes, and Purdue Athletics has been behind that. But what it really means is the ability for student athletes to use their name, their image, their likeness to profit off of, with some restrictions, but not many. And those restrictions could come in the form from, there's a few things from the NCAA standpoint, right? They can't do pay for play, so it can't be quid pro quo. If we give this person this deal that they will come to this school, come to our school, or they will stay and not transfer. It can't be performance based. So for however many, points you score in a game, you're going to make this amount of money on the social media posts for our business. And then for us as an institution, we really only restrict just a few things. There's an institutional values clause, so no alcohol, no gambling, adult entertainment, tobacco, but we're not restrictive. We don't have a state law. We have a lot of flexibility. We believe that's important to the core of the Purdue mission in terms of, building that entrepreneur spirit. And it's been interesting, right? It's been interesting to see it evolve. Some of the things that we thought would play out did and have played out, but they played out faster. I think things have evolved very quickly. But it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun working with Peyton and his staff and trying to, build things, put things in place to support our student athletes and give them every opportunity.
Yeah, to me, the way I've been, the three of us have had discussions about this in recent months. Some things have continued to evolve, but I think it's also Peyton, a thing about, at least from my perspective, how you look at it. It's how you approach it. You're talking about student athlete development and what that can mean. And this is part of the experience from this point forward. It's not going, not going back. And from what I'm hearing from you guys, you view it as a good thing, a positive thing for the student athlete from a growth perspective for those that choose to get involved with it.
Yeah, it's opportunity. And I think that's all we ask for is, at Purdue, we want opportunities for our kids, our student athletes, to dive in. If they're interested in something, we want to be here and be prepared to help them and assist them through whatever challenges, whatever journeys they have. And so NIL, very new. And kudos, big hats off, tip the hat to Tom Mitchell and his crew, who really spearheaded this space for us at Purdue to make sure that we are on the right path to help all of our student athletes. I mean, we did a lot of things on the front end. We were talking about this a year in advance before it was enacted, but it still very much is in the first 100 days and plus. We're still, and it's funny, I got this plane in the background. We're building a plane in the air, right? And that's exactly how it is. So we're evolving as the time moves very quickly. But this offers opportunity for our staff to do a lot of education for ourselves on how we can assist them. And one thing we kind of changed and altered a little bit was absolutely our student athlete development, and said, okay, now we need to start to prepare them a little bit earlier, a little bit quicker. And then it needs to have some different angles and perspectives, and add in some different voices, and give them some different flavors in terms of professional presence, how to talk to donors, how to talk to business partners, and then having a clean resume sooner than your sophomore junior year. So different things like that have allowed us to quicken the process and really do a deep dive for them.
Yeah, and essential to be nimble in this environment, to say the least. Tom, you mentioned it. We talked offline about the need to just tell folks it's on, so to speak. This can happen.
Yes.
That it's not as hard as it seems, and that donors, fans can be involved. There's some things in the works that may even make that a little bit easier. Talk about that though, and the fact that this is the new normal. And not one of my favorite terms, but that is a term that gets used. What, from your perspective, what is that message to that fan base, that donor base, in terms of what they can do to be involved?
Yeah, I think for us, we're really close to finalizing some things operationally, like procedurally, to help with connecting. So that's one of the last stumbling blocks, roadblocks, obstacles, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
Where we want to make it easier for student athletes and businesses, donors, NIL opportunities to connect. No, we're not facilitating, but we're making sure that those connections can happen. Because right now, a lot of the times when we get questions from both sides, right, we're getting both those questions. Our office, Peyton's office, it's the same question. How do we connect? Do we just find them on social media? And for some kids, some students, some businesses, that's not a problem. For others, that's not how they operate. So having a place where they can have a local exchange would be very beneficial. And we really feel that it's really in line with the mission and the path that's already been laid out. As Peyton and I talked about it, there's really no difference between an internship and an NIL opportunity if you look at it the right way, because it's meant to help give that student an opportunity, a professional opportunity to grow, to develop. And maybe that leads to a career, maybe it doesn't. It tells them that's a career I don't want. But either way, it's all part of that student athlete experience. And so what Tin House has set up with Peyton, with 1869, getting those donors, those businesses involved and engaged, and we're very excited to bring all those external folks together, including our partners and sponsors, in the next couple of months, once we can solidify that procedural piece. Because it's allowed, right? That's been the biggest thing, right? Most conversations
getting over that hump.
It's allowed. Mm-hmm.
Recruiting is a big part of this too. Obviously, we're trying to recruit prospective student athletes. And Peyton, I'll go to you on that front. That this is part of it. You have to be able to show prospects, and yet Purdue and this isn't a knock on Purdue, it's the reality. There's a certain type of kid that comes here that may or may not be interested in this, and yet you have to cater all that to again, to kind of put your portfolio out there so that you can attract the kind of kids you want on your teams in West Lafayette.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And, recruiting definitely has had an impact on this. I will tell you too, that, the Purdue student athlete, the kid we're looking for and hunting for, those kids, not so much is it the number one thing that they look at Purdue and say, I'm coming here because the academics are the best. And that this is a place that I know I can live and grow, potentially family, things like that. And they want to win Big Ten titles, and I think that's why we remind them that remember why you chose Purdue first. But then there's questions. There's no doubt about it that there's that space out there, that elephant in the room says, when NIL is available to me, how is Purdue helping me? How are they assisting me? And to be able to have, this clean cut plan for our student athletes as they come in here. Parents want to know, how are you helping my young child to flourish in different areas? Since it's not just about their academics now and their social lives, we're also adding in athletics, but now they're also adding in this fourth bucket of NIL, and how can you help them become a better professional and have the entrepreneurial mindset that I think Purdue really plants in the minds of all their students. So how are we doing that? That's been a conversation that we've had with a lot of student athletes. Coaches are having that with potential student athletes. But ultimately, Alan, we're reminding them, remember why you chose Purdue, because that's one thing that you can definitely create the foundation off of. And if there is opportunity and there is, chances that you can work with potential sponsors or potential organizations, we are going to help assist you in terms of educating you on process. So there's yes, it's impacted, but I think Painter's a great, he even said this last night, you got the right guys in the locker room. I think our coaches have the right student athletes on their team. All of them have the right people in the room who are after the right things. And so when they go out and recruit, they're not looking for who how can we help the person with the most NIL questions. We're asking first who's the right ones, the right fits in the locker room. And then we're telling them, this is how we can help you and assist you. So that way you can be the best version of yourself on and off the playing fields.
Yeah, getting the right person on the bus, an absolute must in any team dynamic, certainly. Tom, you talked about the whole notion that with respect to this, not everybody's doing this either. I mean, it's not like you have 100% participation in student athletes, but do you see that continuing to increase? And you've got programs like at Cranert that's going to be involved very much with helping not only Purdue student athletes but the student body as a whole as you work on this project or work with this new environment. How do you see that? Do you see this still growing dramatically over time? Do you think it's just going to be things that certain student athletes are going to be interested in and some may not be? How do you view that?
I think for us, Al, there's a couple things. One, we definitely see it growing. I think what's been interesting is we've seen sort of categories and buckets form. And one of them is the difference between passive and active income, active opportunity. Yeah. So I think as you get more and more education, right, as more classes go through the cycle with this rule in place or lack of rule, you're going to have more of those that have that entrepreneur spirit, that want to do those things, be more engaged. And so those numbers will increase. The part that we know it will increase, we just don't know in what ways, and I don't think anybody does, is the passive income opportunities.
Yeah.
So some of the group licensing, like larger merchandising kind of things. Right. So we just want to make sure we've got all of those opportunities in place so that we're able to adapt to the needs of the students that come in, to the recruits that we're talking to, to the next generation Purdue student.
Yeah. And Peyton, you hear a lot in the national media, the Texas A&M situations, Alabama, whatever, and that you've already said, that's really not what the Purdue brand is about. You're about the whole piece. But how do you if you're going to tell the fan base or folks about some of the things that could be out of control potentially, where do you see that from a legislation or even an NCAA standpoint? How do you see that playing out over time, or is it still going to be an ever evolving process of building that airplane in the air?
Yeah, if I had the answers to that, I'd be a millionaire.
Okay.
I'd keep
definition
that
of a
thing
leading
close to the
question.
vest.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's going to continue to evolve. We're going to see everyone now starting to get a little innovative on how they can make things work for student athletes without having that institutional involvement. And so just we talk about leveling the playing field for everybody in terms of this and how they can engage, how student athletes can engage. Different markets are better. It really helps for a hometown kid in some cases to stay home because they already have built this network here, and that may assist a little bit more. But I think Alan, as you're talking about just things that are going around the country, a lot of it depends on legislation from their state and how they can move in that regard with very little structure that has been set for all the schools. One is, you got your state law. And so here in Indiana, obviously Tom talked a little bit about that, but it's a little more open for us to make and maneuver and adjust as times do move. So I think you'll see that, at some point, you'll see a lot of schools doing a lot of the same things, especially probably Power Fives at some point. But right now, that plane's being built in the air. We've got a lot of people on that plane that are all trying to go in the same direction, and there's no stopping now. So we want to do our best that on our plane we have all the education things that are important to Purdue. And that's what it absolutely comes down to, is the educational piece. Make sure that foundation is there. So that way, when we do land the plane at some point, we can say we can take off again. We don't have to restart on the ground. And I think that's what Tom's team's done a great job of. And he's allowed us to help and assist to make sure our plane is sustainable and we can take off anytime at any point. So.
Tom, about a minute left in this segment. Anything else from if you were going to educate folks that we may have missed? I'm sure there is, but
there's a big one.
Got 60 of your best seconds to describe it,
Longer.
You're gonna make me say something. You're gonna make me say a no at the end too. Unfortunately, one of the struggles we're still working through is international student athletes. They are not able to participate in name, image, likeness, and it has nothing to do with Purdue, nothing to do with laws from the state standpoint or the NCAA. It's Department of Homeland Security and Immigration. We've been putting together, educational pieces for them and educating them on that, trying to educate the external folks as well, and also trying to put our feather in a cap as it relates to, federal bills or changes at a national level to try to remind those in power that it's not really fair in any way, shape, or form, that those student athletes can't do the same thing that their domestic teammates can.
Yeah. So
we're hopeful that the people will listen and we'll get some changes for them.
All right. Well, you guys are both well educated, and what part of being an education is learning to be nimble and think open, and you're getting tested daily. So I can sense that. But guys, thanks so much. And this is a discussion we'll have hopefully at least once a year on our show, because it's really interesting, and it's going to be what we said today, maybe a little bit different 6 months from now. But we so appreciate your time today and your expertise. Fascinating topic. So fascinating for me. It's easy for me to say. I'm not dealing with it every day. So that part is true. All right, guys, thanks so much. We will be back in about 2 minutes. Coach Greg Goff, Purdue baseball, promises that spring is just around the corner. Why? Because they're going to be playing next week in Sugar Land, Texas. We'll look forward to talking with Greg and Kyle Charters, our resident expert on Purdue baseball as well. So, guys, thanks again, and we'll see you in a couple minutes on Gold and Black Live.